Good evening. I'd like to call the Sanborn Regional School District Finance and Facilities Subcommittee to order. Let's begin with the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have myself and Rick Edelman here this evening. Mike Vitello is excused due to illness. We'll take a look at our minutes from April 2nd meeting. Look for a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve. I'm home. Let me look at something. I do think we have to make a change, right? What was that?
And Rick, if there's any questions on those, I was not here.
Yep.
I was excused, so we can always delay that until Mike is here. Oh, actually, he was excused too. It was you and Dawn.
Yeah, so I guess for the parking lots bakery memorial, the notes say Mr. Edelman made a motion to approve Petra paving.
What number are we at?
Number
Page or something?
it is let me see what number it is. 3D. No, Roman numeral 5, I guess. Budget adjustments, and then we go down to D, which is facility requests and needs versus a zero-turn lawnmower, and then it's parking lots baking memorial. So it looks like it's page 3. Sorry. So scroll down to 4, and it just says Mr. Allen made a motion to approve Petra Paving American Striping for a total of $91,813, which will take care of the Bakey School, Memorial School, Middle School, and High School for repaving, seal coating, striping. That's Dutton seconded the motion. The funding source will be discussed at the next meeting. What we had said at the last meeting is that we were going to take it out of facilities use revolving fund, and I think what we said is we were going to check on the amount of that fund to make sure we had enough money. That's what I remember. I don't have it in my notes.
That could be. I mean, we have, I think the current balance is 153,000.
Yeah.
So we do have it. Yeah.
Okay.
So rather than edit this one, do we just want to make that, do we want to add that to this evening's, that clarification to tonight's meeting? Instead of editing last meetings, because this just says the funding source will be discussed at the next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. So I'll just make a motion to approve.
Okay. Okay, I will second.
Okay.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. All right, let's go back to the agenda here. All right, on to new business. Matt, take it away, good sir.
Yep. So just one of the standard things at the beginning. Inflation's down a tick, down 3.2% as of the end of March. I shared all the encumbrances or POs through April 29th in a spreadsheet. In terms of our operating cash, between our checking account with TD Bank and the New Hampshire PDIP, we have a total of $7,688,712.90. We're looking good there. For trust fund balances, the first 4 have just grown due to interest that those accounts received. So the first one is the Special Education Expenditure Trust Fund. That is up to $374,767.02. The Capital Improvement and Maintenance Capital Reserve is up to $469,336.31. The Unanticipated Educational Expense Capital Reserve is up to $281,904. The Unanticipated Utility Cost Expenditure Trust is up to $191,053.10. And while the Facility Use Revolving Fund has a balance of $211,372.98, we have yet to take out the pole vault pit, which will be coming out soon. And the water storage tank will be relined soon at this building. So as I just mentioned, the balance will be, or is, $153,000. $492.98.
With those two coming out?
Yes. Yeah. So,
Yeah, so I guess I'm sorry.
So it's got a pretty healthy balance, yeah.
I guess my question is, why wouldn't we take it out of the capital improvement and maintenance, capital reserve fund?
For the parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, they got 400 grand in there. I mean, the funds are there to be used, not, you know what I mean?
And I don't know if with the, some of the work coming up with the,
What's that?
I got a way to use it.
we're gonna be looking at addressing some of the items on our CIP. I don't know if that would be better. There's also an opportunity, we may have an opportunity to take it out of end of year surplus as well. Because if I go to the next budget item, which let's just go to the next budget item before we make.
When's the payment due?
Payment for,
The payment for the striping and the
once it's
parking lot?
complete, which will be probably July or August.
Okay, so we don't have to make a decision on that, where the funds are coming from there.
It's actually true.
Yeah.
So maybe our next meeting, I'll give you a hard
Yeah.
surplus, and
Yeah.
you may want to take an end of year surplus.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's just see where everything's shaking out. I don't want to fully deplete that facility use revolving fund, because I think we use that for computers, right, Gordon?
Yeah, but
Not this
we're
year.
budgeted for next year,
All right, good.
so.
Gordon has a budget this year.
Oh, congratulations. Look at you. You got your big boy pants on. Ah, nice.
And
That's
Dan got a
good.
small budget this year.
Let's pull up a chair.
Oh, that's good. All right, sorry, good.
So, yeah, so I guess let's hold off, yeah, we'll make a decision in June on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's do that. And let's jump down, I just mentioned end of year surplus, so let's just go there now. Right now, we're on track. We have a very similar surplus that we had last year. About this time last year, we had about, we're projecting about $2 million or so, but then it reduced down to about 1.5, 1.6. So we seem to be on that pace right now. We don't foresee or anticipate any, knock on wood, any significant expenditures coming through, but everything's encumbered between now and June 30th. So hopefully we're able to stay on track for that, because that obviously provides us the opportunity to, for some end of year purchasing, but then also to help with the tax rate and keep that flat.
Yep.
For the following year. Budget adjustments, there's one for information, can I move on? You guys good?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
First one is for information maintenance services. This is really software. The budget adjustment was, we moved we'd like to move $16,608.85 from the surplus health insurance line to cover our annual subscription to PandaDoc. It's a document and e-signature software service. It's primarily used by special ed, but something that we really use. Our budget this year was slightly inadequate to handle all the software needs, but next year it should be adequate.
You want to take them one at a time?
Probably.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the budget adjustment of 16,608.85 from insurance to information maintenance services.
Second, all in favor? Unanimous? Approved. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Next, they're all special ed related, and really want to applaud our Kim Murphy, who works in that special ed department. She's been working hard to make sure that all of our bills are being paid and all of our lines are staying, we're moving money to cover everything, and so far we were able to. I thought we might run shy this year, but so far we're doing well. But the first adjustment for special ed is to move $15,917.80 into a tuition non-public special ed line for Bakey. And it's coming, that money's coming from they're all special ed lines. One's a middle school information access fee line. It's a $1,300 transfer. $3,116.02 from a Bakey special ed software line. $949.01 from a Memorial special ed software line. $330 from a Bakey special ed dues and fees line. $8,722.77 from a Bakey tuition out of state line. And the last one was $1,500 from a district special ed mileage reimbursement line to cover that adjustment. looking for approval for that.
So I'll make a motion to approve, the moving of $15,917.80 from the lines that Matt mentioned, to, coming from tuition, non-public special ed, Bakey.
Second, all those in favor? Unanimous, approved, thank you, Matt.
Okay, the next one, is a budget adjustment to cover the cost of hiring a middle school special education teacher. The money's being moved from, Bakey Memorial lines to a middle school line. The total, is, $20,720. That covers that position, for the rest of the school year. And that money's coming, from a Bakey and Memorial line, specifically $5,720 from the Bakey other professional services line and $15,000 from the Memorial other professional services line to cover that middle school position.
So I'll make a motion to approve the, moving of $20,720, from Bakey Memorial other professional services to middle school other professional services.
Second, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Good, Matt.
And sorry, one more, and it's a little, this one's kind of broken down differently. It's how I received them by the dates for special ed. So first one is moving $11,812.63 into a middle school non-public special ed line from a high school non-public school special ed line. How do I handle these individually?
Is it,
The total amount, we could do the total amount.
you're doing the total, so I think read through it and then I'll approve the total.
Okay. Next set within this adjustment was $74,240.56. We're looking to move that into a high school out-of-state tuition line for special ed, coming from a middle school out-of-state tuition special ed line and a middle school other professional services line. And lastly, there's some special ed transportation adjustments. Looking to move a total of $77,302.57. That's the total for the preschool and memorial special ed transportation needs that are needed. And to move that from Bakey Middle School and High School special ed transportation line. That's the quick way to say it. But the total amount moved is $163,355.76 between those accounts.
So I'll make a motion to move $163,355.76 from the budget line items that Matt mentioned.
I second, all those in favor? Unanimous, approved, Matt, thank you.
Thank you. And Gordon Parks is up.
Gordon.
We got internet and WAN, which I never remember what that acronym stands for.
Wide area network.
Contracts.
That's a geek term.
So our 3-year contract with Consolidated and Comcast is up,
Yeah, sorry.
is up in July. So with the rate went to bid. And bottom line is we'd like to continue with our Consolidated contract, no price change. It is same speed, everything stays the same. And then our WAN and our primary internet access for this building is actually about a $408 a month saving, so about $5,000 a year cheaper for all the same services and everything we're using now. So no change to anything, $5,000 a year cheaper for the next 3 years.
Nice work.
Gordon, is that the first or the second document here?
So
Oh, the first one.
this is all like the bidding information.
Oh,
So
okay.
the internet bid, you can see per building.
Okay.
It highlighted Consolidated, that's what,
Mhm.
the it's at $289.99
Mhm.
per building. And then the biggest thing to look at on the WAN one is they have a sales order form, and you can see where they're removing the services in the parentheses under the monthly cost and then adding the new ones.
Mhm.
So for example, the EDI bandwidth was $925, now it's $825. And then at the bottom, you can see it in parentheses, $407.80 is the difference per month. So the WAN is what helps all our buildings communicate with each other. And then the the internet's the internet. And then we use the WAN for, this building is the only building that has redundant, it has a Comcast internet line and a consolidated internet line, and they run load balanced. And what happens if Memorial loses internet, it goes through the WAN and out the high school's internet. So we have built-in redundancy of this building for the rest of the district.
Okay. And so you are looking for approval for both the internet and WAN contracts to go through Comcast?
Through Comcast.
As you just laid out.
Comcast and
And
consolidated.
consolidated.
Yeah. We use consolidated internet for all the other buildings
So internet's
Yeah.
consolidated
Yep.
and the WAN is Comcast.
with an additional internet Comcast.
Okay.
We had it split.
I'll make a motion to approve as proposed.
Second, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon.
We also do get the E-rate with this too, so we get reimbursed. I want to say it's like 20% or something of the total cost.
Oh, wow.
We get that
That's
as well.
good.
Yeah,
Thanks for your continued awesome work, Gordon.
no problem.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
That was quick and easy.
Yeah,
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your night.
thank you as well.
That's
Yeah.
That's not 1 minute.
Yeah, it was about 3 minutes.
All right, on to the facility alteration requests.
Yes, so Dan brought me this. Actually, we printed this up to just guys have a better visual than what's included. So I don't know when it was, I guess the date's on it, but the high school science teacher, Megan Petruzzi, and her members of her sustainability club, I assume she's the club advisor, but they received a grant from New Hampshire Fish and Game. And essentially it provides monies to create these pollinator areas, like these more sort of, wildlife friendly areas on campuses. They maintain the honeybee hive behind the middle school, high school up behind here.
Yeah.
And, they got the grant to, help fund, this the work and put in some of these more kind of natural, I guess you call it, natural ecological habitats with flowering plants and stuff. Dan and I discussed it. Some of the images included in the other document were just mock-ups, like raised beds. The problem with that is they're permanent. If they're not being maintained, it's hard to get rid of them. Whereas on that sketch there, it's the one that I just included. It's an initial area. Let's get started, see how it takes off. We can expand from there. But also, it would not be a raised bed. It would just be removing it's not even really grass there. It's more like weeds and crabgrass. Planting it, and then should people stop maintaining it, you can just mow right over it. But you can very easily, or rototill it and or
Do something else.
put some grass
Yeah.
in. But you're not gonna be digging up railroad ties,
Yeah.
granite and stuff.
Yeah.
And it would be more aesthetically pleasing once there. Like if there actually are nice flowering things, growing there, people maintaining it, great. But it would be easy for facilities to take care of it. Should it become unmanaged or unkept.
It says members of the Sustainability Club alongside other students would kind of take this on.
Yeah, the National Honor
It says
Society.
during and after school. So how big is the Sustainability Club? Do we have any idea? We're talking 2 kids, 10 kids,
Do you
100
know,
kids?
Bob?
Well, I think there's a bunch of them. Yeah, about a dozen kids.
About a dozen students, yeah.
I can text Janet, but
No, that's okay. I'm just curious. And Dan, kind of as our lead maintainer, what are your thoughts on this? Is this going to pose any sort of challenges to routine maintenance?
Well, the routine maintenance is on them, not us.
Yep. I mean,
So that's
routine
part-
maintenance on the building that maybe this is blocking, that you can't bring a tractor into or
No,
lift, or there's nothing weird like that.
That's why I want to keep it smaller
Yep.
instead of bigger than they want to kind of do this as an experimental area.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if it works and they're maintaining it.
Okay.
We're willing to expand at
Yeah.
that point, but this is a good start for them.
Okay.
And let's see how it goes.
All right. And those egress, I know this is just a mock-up sketch, but those egress doors won't be blocked
No.
by any of this. Okay. Yep. I figured you'd have that.
And I just have a question. The donation's 3,000, is that right?
I believe it was already accepted, right? Didn't Jen Mitchison present that?
I think she did.
Okay.
That was at the-
So if we're doing a smaller smaller version of this, where are the extra funds gonna be kept, just so.
There's a separate, like, student activity account fund. It just sits there indefinitely.
Okay.
So we don't have to expend it all, like, by a certain date.
No, I just wanna make sure that it's
Yep.
there in case we decide to expand,
Yep.
right, because that's what the money's for, so I wanna
No,
make
we have
sure.
a number of student activity and grant lines, and this would
Okay.
go in there, and, if they decide to expand it next year, and there's still
Yeah.
X amount of money left, they can tap into it then.
Because that could be a really neat project.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be a really nice aesthetically, you know what I mean, to the front of our building, especially that location.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to push them to do some stuff down in that swell in front of that wetland area.
Yeah.
I was like, let's plant cattails and all that
Yeah.
other stuff and make that a turtle pond or something down there, you know, a wetland ecological area or something.
Sure.
So I guess the question is, we would approve it to go to the board for a vote, right?
Yeah, so what's the ask,
board-
what's the ask on this one?
the board-
It's just a facility alteration, so it's it's not the school board, because
Okay.
let me go to the,
So the funds have already been approved, we're just
Funds have been
approving the
approved.
facility alteration.
yeah, I believe it's the last page, there's a facility committee signature, but this is all on record, so, I think.
Okay, yeah, I see it there. Yep. Okay,
I would, just for me, I'd like the rest of the board to weigh in on it, just because we're making an alteration to the building. Now, I'm all for it, but I just think we should let the other members just weigh
And I
in.
could put it on the June.
Okay.
I doubt they're doing it in the spring, right?
Yeah, they wanted to get going like last month.
Well, can I guess I can approve it, right? We can approve it, and then if there's any,
yeah.
if there's any,
Let's do that, right?
if there's any general concern from the rest of the board, we'll let you know. How's that? All right, we'll
that
talk
sounds
about it
fair.
the rest of the board.
Sure.
Because they're trying to get into.
Yeah, I just want everybody to, just because like we've talked about changing
Yeah.
things in the past,
Yeah.
and we've always
Yep.
talked about it as a board, so I
Yep.
just wanna.
Yep, I like
Okay,
that.
all right, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, second. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Petruzzi, and all of the students that are gonna take that project on, and, the leadership here for helping them.
Jen said that the membership is, quote, quite a few.
All right,
So
She said
no
roughly
better than
20.
what we arrived at
Yeah.
in this room.
Roughly 20. She said roughly 20.
Yeah.
She
I know
knows when
it's
she
about a
sends
dozen
it, I'm gonna
kids.
give her, I'm just gonna kill
yeah,
her.
no,
Next one, the pollinator club.
That's what we.
that was the
was
bed, that was the.
Oh,
picture of
sorry,
bed,
that was the
yeah.
second picture, yep, my bad. All right, let's see.
You guys have access to the facility concerns, like, if you guys are right in there? If anybody did not
Yes.
print these off, just so.
I am opening them now. I did look at these earlier, yeah, and I had some questions from the pictures myself.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, well, here, Bob.
Yeah, do we want to go non-public at this point?
Yeah. I think we need to go non-public.
Yeah, hold on one second, let's take a
Sorry.
look at the, I think we should finish anything that's
Okay, you wanna do
public.
that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because we still have quite a few
Yep.
more things, let's
do
not
that.
go in and out. Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, so due to the sensitivity of some of the information that's gonna come up there in the use and abuse of schools, and some potential names being utilized, we will hold off that item to a non-public. Let's move to the FY '24 fiscal audit.
Right, so this one I didn't have a lot of guidance on. We just got this in March. These are the paper copies, and they gave us a whole box of them. So you guys might as well have them. What do you want? Yeah, if you don't want them.
You got a box of them.
Yeah, that's what they always do.
Oh, that's
It's old
fantastic.
school. So, again, I don't know what's typically, I don't remember last spring this being presented to you all, but Bashan and Kluke wrapped this up in March. You know, included in that packet is the governance letter, the management letter, and then the financials for the
Yeah.
district.
Their findings and suggestions,
The
right?
findings, suggestions. I read it over. I didn't see any significant findings. There were some recommendations in the management letter for how we manage, sort of strengthening our internal controls with how we manage student activity accounts, uncollected food service debt, you know, students have a negative meal balance, and then how we handle our private grant reimbursement. But I didn't see any significant issues that popped up. I'm also wondering, because again, I don't remember this happening last spring, but the board must also receive this at some point, maybe in June, I would imagine. Do you guys remember?
I don't, I gotta be honest, I don't ever remember seeing this.
Nope, this is the
Uh,
first
but-
time.
But I've seen, you know, like I'm familiar with audit reports from my organization. And I would, you know, just briefly looking at some of the findings, there are some concerns that, you know, that I think that they point out that we should probably, every member of this committee should get a copy of this.
Yep.
So we can review it and we'll talk
That's
about
what I
it.
was thinking.
Yeah, talk about it at next
That's why I
meeting.
brought the.
Yeah,
paper
no, I mean,
copy.
nothing,
Yeah.
when I say alarming, I say opportunities for us to improve upon.
Yep.
Nothing earth shattering, but I think, you know, again, I'm just.
No,
briefly reading over it.
they've used terms like, strengthening
Yeah,
internal.
yeah, it's all auditing
controls
terms, right?
Yeah, it's all that.
100%.
And is this something that we should put on the June board meeting, or would this be something that you guys would review first, and then maybe the board would get it for summer reading? I don't know.
I think, yeah, Jeremiah, you go first.
Yeah, I think we look at it as finance. We just got it tonight.
Yep.
Once you and I digest it,
Yep.
the next meeting, we can then have it on the agenda as a discussion point. And if we feel the need that there's items on here that need to go to the further board, we'll kind of make that decision at that point.
Or maybe I'm thinking out loud, so forgive me,
Yep.
but
No,
maybe when we
please.
do the committee reports, maybe you make comment about it then. Next meeting in June.
Yeah, depending on what we find.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for the hard copy, Matt, and we will,
And there's plenty, so I can, ship that up to Micah.
and, what do you think about, you know, all of the board members at least getting a copy for their review?
That's fine.
Yeah.
If we-
Yeah,
if we
so
have
let's
multiple
do that.
copies.
If we have enough copies, then let's have every board member get one. Are they here tonight or no?
No, they're in my,
Okay.
office.
So maybe as soon as possible, and that way we're not the only two reviewing it, they can be reviewing it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, transparency is the name of the game here, and
Yeah, no, yeah,
getting better at what we do.
yeah. And there's no, I mean, just quickly, there's no, for anybody who's familiar, there's no, disagreements with management, which means they didn't find anything that, you know, was over alarming. So like, you know, once over is that the audit went pretty well.
Yeah.
Just some recommendations to tighten up things, that's all.
Sure.
No major findings.
Great. All right, on to old business, and the first item there is the zero-turn lawn mower. You want to cover that?
Yep, so the first link, because at the last meeting, we were discussing, the difference between, because we discussed the pros and cons of sticking with Skag versus going with another brand name. And then within Skag, there was the Tiger, which is diesel, and then there's the Cheetah, which is a gas powered and about maybe $2,000 less.
Yep.
So Dan, Mr. Doyle went and got additional information on those. And, since, you know, the public, doesn't see what we see, although the Tiger Turf 2 is, you know, somewhere, it depends on which model of Cheetah you get, you know, $1,300 to maybe close to $2,000 more. It does have steel construction on the shrouds and other surroundings versus plastic. It's a direct drive, which is considered superior over belt drive. And just from my, from what I see, you know, the Tiger 2, the diesel, the average life expectancy is 5,000 hours of use versus 2,000 for the gas powered. And it does get better gas mileage, although you pay more for diesel, so it's probably close to a wash in the end. But just the added life expectancy is huge. And then within the notes, and I haven't run one of these before, but with the increased torque of the diesel one, it doesn't slow down when you hit wet grass. It just kind of blasts right through it. So.
Which they're mowing a lot.
Yeah.
How many acres do we mow? 150
150
acres.
acres.
150
Yeah.
acres. So, that's a lot of mowing.
Yeah, it is.
So Dan and I went back and forth on this a number of times, and I apologize because I've tasked you with this probably more than you thought I should. But I'll just repeat what I said before: is that with everything we have going on, I know 2,000 doesn't sound like a lot in the scheme of this budget, but I'm just trying to make sure we justify everything we do. And I thank you for going back and getting doing the due diligence and bringing this, because it's no brainer. 2,000 hour life versus 5,000 is a no brainer for me. So thank you for doing that. Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to add another point in there too. That last note, Matt, was kind of the seller for me too, was the icing on the cake. It says we already own one of the Tiger 2s, so when we talk about having parts,
Yeah.
Redundant machines that have redundant parts, you know what I mean? So it helps with our bench stock that we have for stuff going into them, so thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, really nice job.
I'm also comfortable, taking this from end of year surplus at this point, based on, so I'm willing to make that, commitment to you guys if we can take that end of year surplus.
Yeah, I think it's small change to
Yeah.
take out of that.
Okay.
I mean, 19,000 is, I think it's probably a good idea.
And where is this one gonna be purchased from?
Newfields, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
Hayden,
Jan
Hayden.
Hayden?
Yeah, JM Hayden Equipment, okay.
That's all,
Do you wanna
Yeah.
make that record or am I gonna make that one?
we've been dealing with them for years.
What's that?
The motion for that one?
I can make it. Make a motion to approve the purchase of Skag Turf Tiger 2 motor 19,304 to be taken out of end of year funds.
Second, any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you again, Dan, appreciate it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
You guys will enjoy it.
And thanks for asking the question, Rick. You're totally right. We gotta.
Yeah.
We gotta.
I
allow for
won't
everything
enjoy
at this
it.
point.
Yeah.
You guys will.
I said the guys will.
Your guys will.
Yeah, the guys will,
No, that's
yeah.
good. That's important because they do
The
a great
big
job.
screen happiest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look, that's, we want to have them happy.
All right, let's move on to the storage tank.
Yeah, like,
replacement.
you were at the last meeting, so, it was supposed to be done on April break, but it got, were there issues down in the south?
Down south with the flooding, they got
Yeah.
called down there
They
to
got
handle some of
called
the
out
issues
for
down there,
emergency
so they kind of had to
response.
reprioritize.
Yep.
Now it's happening the end of June, but again, we've already voted on it.
Yeah.
It's just an update, because it's obviously important we get this done.
And any discount for delay?
Can somebody just give me a quick 10-second refreshment? Which water tank are we talking about?
The 15,000 gallon freshwater tank that's underground in the back here.
So we're replacing it, we're not relining.
We're relining.
Relining.
Okay, all right, so this is tank replacement. We're relining it.
Relining.
Okay, because that's what I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, remember we had somebody dive?
Oh, yeah.
went in.
Oh, yeah, I remember
I'm
that.
surprised I put tank.
Well, that's why
Glad
when
you
it said,
caught that.
when it said tank replacement, I was like,
Yeah.
Are we doing something different?
No,
Tank
the
replacement would be
liner,
about
yeah.
120
$100,000.
grand, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that big
Yeah.
kick. Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
And,
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
No,
I missed a meeting or two.
I used to
and,
be in that industry before I got there.
Jeremiah missed a meeting, but he's
Okay.
not gonna miss that.
Yeah, that's
I will
good.
not miss that.
No, I should have picked up for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Siemens?
Siemens is coming tonight. Dan and I have already previewed the presentation, reviewed it with them. It's designed to be visual and picture sensitized and words. It's not gonna bore you with like slides on slides of text and charts and data. So, it's really, while it's an update as to where the energy audit is at currently, because we see this, the facility needs of the district being addressed in phases. They're really focusing on phase one, which is more the low hanging fruit tonight, the LED lighting, some of the, more simple building envelope or some other issues, presenting those to you guys tonight. They're not ready to present like building systems, HVAC systems yet. They're still collecting data. They're still, and that's gonna be a big ticket item, potentially. That's gonna be something that might go to a warrant article at some point. So, tonight,
What's that? Sorry.
like if we did we replace boilers
Yeah, I
here,
got you. Yeah.
Memorial, you're talking 6-7 figures.
Yeah, I just remember, I think the beautiful thing about Siemens is that they make suggestions and we make decisions, right? Which is what we signed up for.
So, because there's some things that will really benefit us and for short money, and we can start this summer, they're really presenting, kind of like a phase one today.
And the LED lights we've been talking about for a couple of years now.
Yeah. And there'll be no decisions tonight. There could be decisions in June though.
Okay.
But they'll be clear about that. They'll also show tonight the costs, ROI, funding options, things like that. But, the presentation's like there too. But again, we want to make sure that the presentation was no more than 30 minutes and was engaging and
Yeah.
not just like a sleeper. Like
Yeah.
where you're like,
Okay.
looking at slides of
That's my power
Over
point.
there.
yeah.
Reading it.
So we actually spent 2 hours in last week going over this presentation, so I think it'll be interesting, and,
Okay.
that's really just a heads up about that. And so again, some of those things will be addressed in the CIP, but, I hadn't planned on talking about the CIP today, but.
Rick, is there anything what are your thoughts on this, talking about the CIP tonight? I'm always cautious of delaying it because we lose track. That's how we lost track of it last time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Of the
we can
items
talk
on
about it.
here. But we still have our non-public portion as well.
I mean, it's gonna be on every meeting, right? So,
Yep.
and Mike will be here next meeting, so
Yep.
it's just, we can go in and out public, it's fine.
Okay, we'll table this, until next meeting when we have, the entire, facilities and finance team here.
Sounds good, yeah, and Dan and I can,
And is there anything that jumped out on you? I guess I would lean back on you, Matt.
the
And
CIP.
yeah, is there anything that jumped out that we're missing that's like a 5-alarm fire that we're missing at this point?
No, I mean,
And don't make something up, Dan.
no. The thing with Siemens is that, a lot of this stuff is energy improvement
Yep.
and savings and stuff like that. But what they're doing is almost acting like a CIP program for us
Sure.
also.
It's part of
Picking
it.
up a lot of the odds and ends.
Yeah.
There are some things that they identified as somewhat critical.
Yeah.
That will be in phase 2 after they get more information and data. But it's something that it's not gonna hurt us now, you know what I'm saying? Knock on wood, everything is kind of moving along right now, and we can wait till next fall to start looking at some of these issues.
Okay.
And
This,
actually, you just reminded me of something, Dan, too. So the majority of the Siemens phase 1 presentation I deals with LED, but they're gonna mention, and you can bring the suspended ceilings at Memorial,
Yep.
the fire alarm system at Baking Memorial,
Right.
and some building envelope stuff projected for change directly to energy. But
Right.
can you just fill them in on how the fire alarm system and the suspended ceiling got there, just so we don't
Yeah.
answer these questions?
So a lot of the suspended ceilings at Memorial is, in my opinion, a lot of it is more cosmetic. And the deal was to lower the ceiling so we can put the new lights in instead of using the old fixtures. Thus lowering the ceilings too, you save in energy as far as heating
Right.
and void and everything else. So there is some savings there, but not a lot. It's something we can do because it is a low hanging fruit. It's fairly cheap compared to everything else, but it's not like a necessity.
Oh, and Dan, wasn't that the building that had the painted tiles, like the?
Yeah, it has the old 12 by 12 tiles up there, and the ceiling tiles, the 2x4s, over the years, the students painted them and they, paint landscapes on them and stuff. And technically, it's against fire code to paint your ceiling tiles, because then you kind of lose your fire rating in the tile. The fire department has been very good with us as far as not poking us as far, but they're like, every time they come, they're like, you really got to get rid of these painted ceiling tiles. So that will enable us to remove those tiles and put just plain white tiles in its place. There is some ceiling grid that does need to be replaced, that is very yellowed and stained and just kind of looks disgusting.
Yeah.
They're not huge areas, but some small areas to kind of like cosmetically fix up the school a little bit in the entrance area. And, of course, obviously you're walking in the entrance first.
Yeah.
Opinion of the school is going to be what you look at.
So with the presentation, they're gonna be LED lighting, they're gonna mention the drop-down ceilings and how some of it's related to energy if you actually drop them. Some is cosmetic, and they're gonna go to the fire alarm system.
Yeah, so the fire alarm system at Bakey is, it's very old, and we have to start replacing the appliances. And appliances are your smoke detectors, your strobes. A majority of the system at Bakey does not even meet fire code today. And Dr. Ambrose has been working with Graham, the fire chief here in town, and they've been kind of promising that we need to do something, and we're here now. And we need to do something because a lot of the old fixtures or appliances are starting to go bad. And it's not like you can just change one. Since we're updating it, now you gotta bring the whole system up to code. Now, it doesn't include sprinklers, obviously, so there is no fire suppression in this, but it's just the alarm system, your smoke detectors, your pull stations.
Which doesn't involve, you know, I think our original discussion was, asbestos removal and everything else, right?
No,
Okay.
there's no asbestos that would.
We wouldn't be up in the roof or in the
Well,
ceilings.
I mean, they'll be pulling new wire and stuff for the new pull stations and
Yeah.
strobes and stuff, but I mean, the pull stations aren't even code. They're so high that these little kids can't even reach the darn things if they wanted to pull it.
Yeah, was it just Baker was also Memorial?
So Memorial's the same way. Their system there is a little more current. The panel there is a little more current, but all the appliances, once again, are dated. And you do have to replace those. There is a shelf life for, I mean, like your smoke detectors at home, and you know, they're only good for 10 years and you have to replace your smoke detectors completely. So we're kind of in that scenario there, is that we need to start replacing them and updating because they would.
And Siemens has covered that in this phase one?
Well,
Or no?
it's something they can cover, and I've got some outside bids also. So Siemens is waiting to find out what their final number is on the suppression, or on the fire system at Bakey. I've also went to another company on our own to get some prices also to make sure that Siemens is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And the other thing is that the companies that I'm looking at are non-proprietary, and that really means a lot to me, because when you start dealing with proprietary systems, now you're talking there's a lot more to maintain because you have to bring in their techs and stuff.
Yeah, I got it.
And Siemens is proprietary in a lot of systems that they use. So the companies I'm bringing in, I'm eliminating that, where anybody can come in and work on that system. It's basically a very plug and play type system.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Rick, Siemens is like, it's like a la carte, like, yeah, do you want LED lights, and then what else do you want, or do you just want to focus on LED lights and stuff? That's just kind of
Yeah,
nice.
that's
But they're gonna
what I started
present
getting at.
all these things.
Yeah, and they're gonna explain that time in their presentation with LED lighting.
Yeah.
There's so many options. You can go dimmable and, you know, and it's like buying a car. You can buy all sorts of, and we're trying to keep it where it's nice and usable, but I'm not going for all this crazy stuff where teachers can put mood lighting in their classrooms and stuff like that. We have to keep it.
I think if it's, you know, I think what we've discussed in the past is, you know, if we have people within our communities that can do this work and do it effectively, right? Then I'd rather see them get the work than.
Yeah. Well, and that's the nice thing about Siemens is that, you know, we don't have to use their
No, I know.
contractors. We can go outside and they'll run it as a general contractor, but we can go outside. The problem is that their contractors are pretty big and they can do these type of systems with no problem.
Kind of put down on the spot right now.
Right.
I love that.
Speaking of contractors who came around with Siemens, I think you wanted to mention something about the greenhouse on the side of the building here?
Yeah,
This is
so
actually- this
remember we've been
really
talking
good
about the
thing.
greenhouse
Yeah, yeah.
upstairs that's been leaking into the
Yeah.
library here.
Yeah, we did a temporary fix.
So I met some contractors with Siemens and we kind of have three options now. The first option is tear it off and replace it with some type of system that's more of a waterfall type glass that sheds water. Because the system there that they put in is just, it's not the right application. That's why we have problems. The other option is to tear it off completely, but the cost is almost double to tear it off and redo the roof, redo the windows and all that. So that's one option. I was talking to another
This is the
contractor,
good part.
which was pretty cool. He says, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take the glass out of the panels that are flat, put in insulated panels, build a frame that goes on the top of it, and then put a metal roof on it and shed the water that way and keep the existing greenhouse. So you would take away the sunlight coming through the top, but there's ample light coming in through the sides to support whatever plant life is in there.
So like just put a dormer in front of your front door to get the water
Yeah,
around.
yeah. So I met with Melanson Roofing yesterday, actually, who does our roofing now. And I says, you know, I'd like to do some type of copper or metal so patinas, it looks nice. I don't want to do shingle or rubber. It just look like bad.
Yeah.
Well, they have a new product out there. It looks like standing seam metal roof, but it's actually a composite product. And it's impact resistant, it's insulated and everything else, and it's half the cost of copper. I'm liking this, and you can get it in a patina green, so it looks like copper. So they're gonna get me prices on that, but I think for
This might be-
honestly, like $20,000, we can fix that thing,
1/5 the
keep our
price.
greenhouse and
Yeah.
not spend 6 figures on it.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it's a third option that I really like,
Yeah.
that maybe we should explore, and I'll get
Nice.
more information for that, you know, as far
Yeah,
as
having been a
cost.
science teacher, I would love to have had a little greenhouse on the side of my classroom. So I'd like to keep it, and if this is the least expensive option, it makes sense.
And obviously, we're assuming it's gonna fix it because we put plexiglass on top of it
Yeah.
2 years ago,
And stuff.
and it stopped. And we're thinking that's the issue. So we're kind of under that same thought that, well, if we put something permanent up there now.
Yeah.
We still won't have any leaks. Knock on wood, you know, it's still a 20-year-old greenhouse and everything, but the cost savings, even if we do spend that type of money to put that on there,
That's worth it.
is far better than spending 6 figures to
Yep.
replace or tear it off.
That
So,
sounds great, Dan.
Okay.
Well, thanks for doing that, and we'll look forward to seeing the,
yeah, I'll get you numbers.
numbers. Okay. I think that's all we have, before we head into non-public. Anything else, Matt?
No, so we won't have to come back out of non-public, right?
That is correct.
This is gonna be-
That's kind of the goal.
Yeah, right, that's a good call, yeah.
Anything else, Rick?
Nope.
Okay. You want to call something
Yeah,
non-public?
I'll make a motion to move into non-public per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral two, letter C.
Second, all in favor?
You got a roll call in.
We got a roll call in.
We do.
Rick?
Yes.
Jeremiah? Yes.
Sorry.
All in favor? All right.